Hello, I am Save the Frogs founder, Dr. Kerry Kriger. This is a Save the Frogs Africa meetup, and this is the first one of 2024. We held about 5 or 6 of these in 2023. We have a web page, savethefrogs.com/Africa, that has all the videos of past events or most of them anyway, and the ones that are not yet up there will soon be up there, as will the video of this event. The schedule of events is up there. We have these meetings every last Saturday of the month, every month on the last Saturday at 10 a.m. Los Angeles time. So that's probably late afternoon or evening in Africa on Saturdays, last Saturday of the month. Please create a recurring calendar event in your digital calendar. Let's see. I visited Africa in 1988 or so, went to Kenya on a family vacation, saw a lot of wildlife, and then I returned in 2011 to Ghana, where I spent a month, started Save the Frogs Ghana, which was very active for about 9 years, returned to Ghana in 2016. And in 2023, we started Save the Frogs Africa to take our successes from Ghana and spread them throughout the African continent. And we had a variety of excellent speakers, including Ed and Tom, last year. And welcome back, everybody. Jack's back. Jack was on our South Asia meetup that took place 3.5 hours ago, and that also takes place on the last Saturday of the month. So you're welcome to join that, probably learn something about what's going on in South Asia and apply it to your African amphibian conservation efforts or wherever in the world you are. Janice is out there in Czech Republic. We've got Ed, I think from Texas, if I recall correctly, who is, where are you currently?
Yeah, I'm in Texas right now. I am from the UK, but no, I'm at
Okay.
UT,
All right. Okay. Which UT?
UT Austin.
Okay, UT Austin. All right. Save the Frogs, Nepal volunteer Biraj Shrestha is at UT Arlington right now. I encourage you to get in touch with him if you
Yeah, for
never
sure.
have. And let's see, remind me, where in West Africa was your work focused?
Sing Gabon.
In Gabon. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Climbing the trees in Gabon. All right. Cool. Welcome back. Jack's back from maybe Cape Cod or Massachusetts area. Jack, have you been to Africa?
I have not actually. I have not been. It was on one of my bucket lists, and that and Australia were two on my bucket list before my wife passed away. So I don't know what's going to happen
Okay.
now.
All right. Well, maybe on a Save the Frogs eco tour, which we're working on Zambia and South Africa in the future. So that would be cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. Terry, if you're out there and you want to introduce yourself by chat or by audio and or video and tell us where you're from, how you ended up here, what your interest in is in this, you're welcome to. And we've got Tom who was about to say something before I hit the record. Tom in Kenya, Save the Frogs Day grant recipient. Hi,
Good
Tom.
morning, good
Hello.
afternoon, and good evening. I hope
Hi.
you're doing well. I'm
Thanks.
also doing fine. I was just about to get to bed when I saw the email notification, which is really a good thing as a reminder for the meeting. I really commend that.
All
Thank you
right.
for
Yeah.
thank you for the grant we received recently, and the plans are underway. Currently, as a Kenya Hapata Fauna Working Group, we usually hold an annual course for tour guides. on amphibians and reptile, which starts on Monday. And afterwards, we've also been having some issues with the floods in the country, if you've seen in the news, because of the increased rainfall levels, and schools were postponed a little bit. But our activity for Save the Frog Day will be held in June.
All right, excellent. Thank you.
Yeah,
Let's
so
see. Yeah, continue.
currently I'm in the field. I'm actually in a hotel. I'm collecting data on my master's project. That's in Shimba Hills National Reserve in the coastal part of Kenya. And I'm getting some really good data, but probably I'll present it later in the year in subsequent meetings, and I'll be happy to share with you whatever interesting things I've found here, guys.
Why don't you give us a quick summary of what is your master's project?
I'm looking at the spatial distribution of reptiles in Shimba Hills ecosystem. Especially I'm trying to find the endemic species found in this area.
Where is that, Tom?
That's Shimba Hills National Reserve. It's in the coastal part of Kenya. Yeah, and I'm trying to compare it, especially the distribution between grasslands and the forested parts. One of the things I've noted is for years there has been this pre-authorized banning of the grasslands without monitoring, or without pre-monitoring before the banning, and after the banning they also don't do the monitoring, and that exercise is done annually. So those are beside I'm specifically focusing on reptiles, but I think as as researchers in amphibians, Dr. Kerry, you can agree that that kind of banning, especially annually, really affects not just reptiles but amphibians as well in, in the reserve and even outside the reserve. So I think those are some of the interesting things I'm getting, but basically I'm focused on mapping the spatial distribution of the reptiles in the park. Thank you. Dr. Kerry, you are muted.
Thank you. I said, Susan and Oliver, if you're out there and you'd like to introduce yourself by chat or audio or video and tell us where you're at, what your background, if any, is in amphibians or how you ended up here today, go for it. Let's get you unmuted.
Yeah, I'm muted. Hi, I just spontaneously saw this event, I guess on, I don't know, Facebook or LinkedIn somewhere.
Okay.
But yeah, I have background in amphibian conservation. I'm a South African student. Although I'm studying in Europe now, but I've done previous work with Endangered Wildlife Trust on some critically endangered frogs, surveying, lots of surveying, like yeah, for the past maybe 4 or 5 years, and then we've been doing some red listing for Southern African frogs recently, about 300 species from Angola downwards. So yeah, we're trying to wrap that up now and update IUCN. But yeah, I'm just generally interested in amphibians, and I want to, I guess, continue research, especially in Southern Africa. It's where my interests and like expertise lie.
All right. What are you doing in Europe? You're doing a degree there?
Yeah, I'm doing my master's, yeah, in Norway.
Okay. Why did you choose Norway, and is it related to African wildlife?
No, not at all. I just got a scholarship to study in Europe. So it's very difficult as a herpetologist to find stuff in Africa, obviously. So
Yeah.
for
Okay.
now, yeah, I'm looking elsewhere.
Okay. All right. I visited Norway 10 years ago, went up to Lofoten Islands, among other
Ah, yeah,
places. Definitely
yeah,
worth a visit if you haven't been there.
yeah,
All right.
yeah, definitely.
Good. Thanks for being here. We're on here. It's the last Saturday of every month where we just restarted these meetings today. We had them 5 or 6 of them in 2023. And most of those meetings last year, we had a guest speaker. So if anyone here today would like to give a presentation, 15 minutes, 30 minutes about anything of interest to people interested in amphibians and African amphibian conservation, then definitely let me know and we can schedule you for any of the upcoming events. All right, Terry from Citrus Heights, California. I've never heard of that. That sounds pretty Orange County, but I could definitely be wrong there. Always interested in learning about animals and what we can do to protect them and the environment. Good. Hopefully everyone spent some time on savethefrogs.com. Some of you are Save the Frogs scholarship holders. All right, Sacramento County. I know that I don't know if I'm saying that right. FEA Nature Center in Sacramento has held a variety of Save the Frogs Day events, and I've spoken at the Capitol building in Sacramento when we succeeded in getting California legislation AB 2364 passed with an 8-0 vote. Imagine that in this day and age, anything going 8-0, followed by a maybe 52-8 vote that got signed into law by Governor Jerry Brown, making the California red-legged frog the official state amphibian of California. All right, yeah, it's EFFIE. I'll chat it in here. They've got a social media presence for certain. Yeah, I'm not sure what that means, but there it is, FEA Nature Center. So maybe you go check that out, see what they have happening in relation to frogs. Let's see. What was I saying? Oh yeah, we've got Save the Frogs scholarships. So if you can become a Save the Frogs member, if you're not one, then do that by donation. But if you can't donate or don't want to donate, savethefrogs.com/scholarships. I encourage you to go get yourself a Save the Frogs scholarship if you think you're interested in amphibians. We'll continue because we've got lots of courses there. And let's see, we got Nancy Ware on the line. And thank you to Nancy for reminding me to get these meetings going. And let's see, Nancy, if you're out there and you want to say hi and tell us, I know that you have, or I think that you have graduated with a degree, probably not your first degree, and you now have a biological job. If you want to tell us anything about that, you're welcome to.
Oh, hi. I had trouble getting in because I didn't see the first email that had the passcode on it. So, but I finally found it.
Good.
So I'm here today. Yes, I did graduate last year with a degree in cell biology, and I've been working on lab positions, and my favorite studies are parasitology and also, of course, frogs.
All right, frogs have plenty of parasites. Do you ever look into endo, or exoparasites of amphibians?
Well, one of them is lungworms. That's a big one. One of the
Okay.
worms they're most tenacious. And
All right,
that,
where you're saying with amphibians getting lungworms?
yeah, they do. They can get lungworms easily, and the remedy is fenbendazole.
Okay. And what is fenbendazole and how do you apply that, or is it ingested or injected
Actually,
or lotion?
they usually, when they have them, when they have amphibian centers and things, if they find they have this parasite, what they have to do is give it fenbendazole by mouth, And I actually watched I watched a veterinarian giving it to an amphibian, and it was not pretty because the poor frog, jump around, and it doesn't like the liquid because, it doesn't drink water with its lips. So to have the fenbendazoles like a sort of like a liquid form is not pleasing to it. But it doesn't seem to be like so many medications where animals get, or the parasites and bacteria get resistant. In this case, it seems to work pretty well if you can just get it into the frog's mouth. That's the challenge.
Okay. How do you know if a frog has lungworm?
Well, one of the things is that sometimes it stops eating for long periods of time, that you'll find that it won't eat for maybe like 2 weeks or more. Now, some frogs like cane toads, which are a toad actually, they sometimes they won't eat for a long time, but the normal frog, the common frog, and the African frog and things that normally the smaller frogs, they don't go for months without eating. Sometimes I've heard cane toad go a month, but they eat pretty regularly, and if they don't eat for like 2 weeks, that's one thing they suspect is parasites.
Okay, so I assume this has conservation implications for captive breeding of endangered amphibian species.
Oh, yes. The best way, of course, if you're going to get a pet frog is to go through captive breeding programs. But, even captive breeding, they should definitely test and make sure that it's parasite free. I've heard stories because I actually have been to pet stores and interviewed them about frogs to see what goes on there. And they say you'd be surprised. They say they get some things from captive breeding, but, they later on it's discovered they have a parasite. So it has to be really taken into account very carefully to find out if it does have or not, because it can spread. The eggs, for instance, all they
Yeah.
have to do is get the egg on them. And if some owner or something has like a toad enclosure or a frog enclosure, and those eggs are there, what I found out is veterinarians tell them to remove everything, because the eggs, can still infect and they can reinfect themselves. So everything has to be removed, it has to be sanitized, and then given fenbendazole as well. And it is not a pretty thing to do.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that. That's new info for me. Let's see.
By the way, I'll verify
Yeah.
the fact that cane toads can go without food for a month. Because
They go without.
yeah, because I got two pet cane toads.
Yeah. Why do you think that they would do that? It's like a stress response, or what? What do you think's happening when they don't eat?
I don't know that I have two males, and they're best buddies, and one's a pig, and the other one just eats infrequently, but will eat. So I don't, and it has nothing to do with the time of year or anything like that. Well, maybe I should. During the winter when it's cooler, they don't eat quite as much. But I noticed the one cane toad will go like 2 or 3 weeks without eating. Then he'll eat like crazy, and then stop.
All right.
By the way, I want to add, everybody here obviously has got degrees of biology. I'm kind of come from a different angle. I'm a retired weatherman. Actually, I'm a weatherman oceanographer. And what's got me interested in all this was climate change, as some of your guests have said, are obviously having impact on amphibian habitats. I have noticed in the last year that climate change is beginning to manifest itself in two ways. One is we're seeing more heat waves, and more intense heat waves. But the second thing, which seems to be even more profound, is we're getting a lot of these heavy rain events. I noticed that around the world, Dubai, Africa, South America, down in Brazil, they had like 20 inches of rain in like 5 hours. And the problem with something like that is it just scours out all these amphibian habitats. And I mean, we had last September, we had 12 inches of rain. I live in Massachusetts. We had 12 inches of rain in 4 hours in Leominster. And it completely scoured out all the stream beds that were wetlands. I mean, this is the problem that seems to be happening. And unfortunately, it's only going to get worse.
I agree. I've seen it even where I live. The rain patterns are different.
Yeah, and the problem is this summer in the United States and in the Caribbean, we have a real problem with the hurricane season. The problem is the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean, the temperatures of the sea surface are now what they would normally be in September. So we are starting at a max.
You can go. I just didn't want to invade your privacy.
So
Continue, Jack.
what's that?
Continue.
So we're in for a pretty wild hurricane season all along the Caribbean, into the United States. So it's all climate change, and it's impacting everything, as you can see.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, I know to say we've got a lot more people who are not from Africa than we have people from Africa. So all you people with contacts in Africa, please get the word out. It's not too much of a surprise because this is the first meeting we've held in 5 or 6 months. That's partly my fault, but we're scheduled out for 12 months. We've got up on Save the Frogs events page, savethefrogs.com/events. You can see upcoming Save the Frogs events. I plan to get more of these recurring type events going on. Right now, it's just South Asia meetups and Africa meetups, but we've got more coming. But get the word out. And again, if you or anyone you know, if you have ideas on a good guest speaker who can enlighten us about African amphibians,
Yeah, I
let
was
me know.
sorry to interrupt. I was just thinking, a friend of mine, I don't know if you know her, Jean Tarrant.
I do.
She's yeah, okay, so she's just started her own, I guess it's an NPO, NGO called Anura
Yeah,
Africa.
she had one before. It was not official, or what was she doing for the last 10 years? I thought that she
Yeah,
had a nonprofit.
it's yeah, she was working with another organization,
Was
Endangered
that the
Wildlife.
Endangered Wildlife Trust?
Yeah, but they're not, it's not, she was just had a project, an amphibian project with them, but they
Okay.
do a whole bunch of other stuff like with lions and vultures across Africa, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, she's kind of split off now and doing her own thing.
All
So it
right.
might
Well, yeah,
be
please
nice to
do.
contact. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
invite her, tell her I say hi. And we actually have this link right here that should work. If you click it, I just put it in chat. If it does not work, let me know. But that is actually the place. If someone wants to speak, then that's
Yeah,
all set up to get the info that I need to make my life easier promoting their presentation.
sure.
All right, good. Let's see. Anyone else out there? Susan, Sue Betty, namaste. If you're out there and you'd like to introduce yourself, and Albert Chambi Choga in Kumasi, Ghana, if you want to say hi. All right, then I'm gonna refer back. Oh, we've got Susan here in Nepal, student of bachelor student forestry in Kathmandu. All right. I know that the Heta Uda Forestry Department, which I believe is an hour or two south of Kathmandu down the hill, held a Save the Frogs Day event. All right, junior research in bird conservation, interested in amphibian research, Save the Frogs scholarship holder. All right, welcome. And I assume that you are in touch with, or I shouldn't assume, but there were at least 3 or 4 different groups that held Save the Frogs Day events in Nepal last month. So hopefully you're in touch with them. Everyone out there, one of, or perhaps my main focus this year for the first time in a long time is Save the Frogs Day, planning way in advance for 2025. So I encourage you, if you have any interest in amphibian education, educating your local community, wherever in the world you are, put April 28th, 2025 on your calendar and try to plan an event for Save the Frogs Day, and ideally get in touch with whatever environmental group that you are a part of or is local to you who may be interested, and get them involved so that the organization can assist. All right, let's go on to this agenda. What do I have here? So let me share my screen. And let's go visit my favorite amphibian themed website, savethefrogs.com. I am over here in the shop in shirts, and we have a Save the Frogs Africa shirt. We've got an awesome Save the Frogs Africa logo. And if you need the logo file for anything, because you want to do something Save the Frogs related, let me know. I may put that logo somewhere online where it's downloadable. But for now, if you want the logo, then let me know. These are limited edition. These are perhaps the best shirt we've ever created in 15 plus years of putting out shirts, because they look good. The print job is perfect and they're extremely comfortable. So I encourage you to get one. We do ship anywhere in the world, though international shipping, unfortunately, is fairly expensive, but we can ship them anywhere. If you want to print them, if you know a shirt printer and you want the design and you will pay for the printing, then I can send you the design and you can print some out. Maybe if you have people in your lab, that may end up a lot less expensive than ordering from us and having them shipped overseas. All right, let me see what else is going on here in my agenda. Next up, yeah, we have a logo. All right, I just told you. Poster. I'd like to create a Save the Frogs Africa poster. We have a Save the Frogs Africa Instagram channel now at Save the Frogs Africa, all one word. So go follow on Instagram, Save the Frogs Africa. Let me type that in here. Boom. Or direct link will be Save the Frogs Africa, which probably brings us to the next topic. We do have a Discord channel too. So let me go grab that Discord link. And I won't even do that. It's not necessary. It's easy to find. savethefrogs.com/Discord. If you're not yet on Discord, click that link. You'll need a Discord account. And once you're into the Save the Frogs area, in the left sidebar, you should be able to find an Africa channel where you can put any questions, updates, or anything of relevance to us in there. And that stays there for the permanent record. Anyone can show up there anytime, look through past chats, and find out lots of information of relevance to them. So go check that out. What is that? It's essentially social media that's not controlled by a billionaire lunatic. And I find that it's a mellow place to be as far as conversing with other people. So I encourage you to check that out and keep this conversation going in there. And Discord is the easiest place. All right, what's next? Volunteers for social media. I'm curious, people in Africa, or people who've spent a lot of time there, what are the main social media channels? If we wanted another social media channel aside from Instagram, which may be sufficient, and Discord, which not that many people use relatively, would there be any next place that people in Africa are likely to be hanging out? All right, I'll take that as a no, but if you think of one, all right, WhatsApp and Facebook. Okay. So does that mean WhatsApp groups, or what exactly do you mean as far as WhatsApp goes? And is that Facebook page, Facebook group, or just Facebook personal channels? Starting with
Yeah,
you.
Facebook groups, I think, are usually I've seen, well, in my opinion, they're the most common, at least in South Africa or Southern
Okay.
Africa. And then WhatsApp channels Or I mean, chats, like chat groups
Yeah.
are a thing, but difficult to manage.
Yeah. I'm not gonna do the WhatsApp because it just, yeah. For me, Discord works better than that, in that you can organize, all the chats are organized, whereas Telegram and WhatsApp groups are just too much. But as far as a Facebook group, let's see. I'll consider that. Our Facebook groups, we've got various Facebook groups. We have a Save the Frogs Facebook group, and we have a Save the Frogs Facebook page. The page has like 60,000 followers. Most of that came from like 10 years ago or more. And it doesn't, if I put out a post, there's a high chance that Facebook only shows it to like 10 people. So I don't even send people there too much, but we do have the simplest start right there. Savethefrogs.com/Facebook takes you to facebook.com/group/savethefrogs. So it's not Africa specific, but based on like, there's not too much activity there. That makes me think that if we started a Africa group, it wouldn't necessarily have too much activity. And I think it would be up to us to be promoting it. I don't think people find groups in any way other than self-promotion of the groups. So I'll consider that. It would also, if someone wants to like volunteer to manage a Save the Frogs Africa channel, that would be more likely. But let's see what Tom has to say on the topic.
I think I'm not so much of a Facebook user, but a Facebook page or group, public group, a Facebook public group will work. I'll give an example where we have a Facebook group called East African Snakes, Other Reptiles and Amphibians, which is a public group, but each post, even a comment, is usually approved by the admin before it's shown to the public. I've tried commenting on the group before, and I saw the comments until it's approved by admin before it could be shown to the public. And here, I don't know if you know Stephen Spalls.
I don't.
He's published several books on reptiles across different parts of Africa, and
Okay.
he's one of the pioneers of the group. So here I see people sharing whatever, both researchers and citizens sharing any photo, anything related to either amphibians or reptiles. So this could work for Save the Frog as well. It could be a nice way of engaging both the public and students and researchers.
Okay. I see East African Snakes, Other Reptiles and Amphibians. Is that the name of the group you refer to?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I see public group 42,000 members. Hey, it would be awesome if we had 42,000 members. So I'm just not sure how those groups grow.
You can also try sharing stuff on the Amphibians of Africa group. That's also yeah, I think it's quite big and it posts every day. So might be a way to get engagement.
Okay, yeah. So at a minimum, we should put up a post about this group on both of those groups.
Yeah,
And I'll also
definitely.
I'll take a look at those groups, and there it is, Amphibians of Africa, 7,000 followers. Group by BDI Citizen Science Frog Map. That's what I'm looking at. All right.
Yeah,
Public
that's
group.
one.
Okay. Well, I'll look at those groups and see how they're set up, and maybe we will set something up and then put out a call for a group manager who can, what would the job of that be? To accept people, approve posts or deny them, come up with some rules, and probably post in there every I don't know, a couple times a week, a week to get something going, and then we can see what happens. Try it out. Okay. Other stuff on my agenda is Save the Frogs Day I already mentioned. If you held a Save the Frogs Day event, then we have a page, savethefrogs.com/day-report, where you can report your event. We are going to get Save the Frogs Day organizers meetings or planning sessions. I'm not sure what to call them yet, going on probably monthly. And if you're interested in organizing an event, then try to shove at those. I think that's all on my mind. I guess I'll open it up to any of you. We already talked about speakers. Is there anything else you'd like to see happening here, or anything? I guess taking it back further, a year ago when we got these things started, there wasn't too much of a plan. I just wanted to continue the work. All right, goodbye, Oliver. Thanks for being here. I wanted to continue the work that we had done for 9 years in Ghana, and open it up to people from across Africa and see what became of this. Anyone have any expectations or hopes for these meetings, or for Save the Frogs Africa in general?
Well, I'm hoping more people will join that are working in those regions, because I remember before we had a number of biologists there, and I think we even had Cedric Fogwan, or one of those people also.
Yeah.
And they live in those regions, so it'd be more interesting to hear from somebody who actually lives there.
Yeah. Let's see. If you, I don't know what how much time you have, but that could be a volunteer task, would be to contact some of these people. It could either be people or the groups, organizations that exist, and that could include going to some of these. If you hang out on social media, going to any of these pre-existing groups and informing them about us. But yeah, I only announced this 2 days ago. I put it in the Save the Frogs. I put it up on all our social media channels. I put it in the Save the Frogs newsletter, which goes out to 10,000 people, of which, let's assume, maybe 3,000 or 4,000 people actually open the email, of which maybe, 500 would have a specific interest in African amphibians, probably 500 on high side. And I also sent it out. There's been maybe 130 people who have registered for Save the Frogs Africa meetings in the past. I sent out emails to all those people. So it should have gone out to all. I mean, I would think that most of those people who've been here before would have received an email. Does it go to spam? I'm not sure, though. I did just fix up our email spam prevention settings the other day, so hopefully it didn't. Jack.
I have a question that I've been meaning to ask you this. I saw in the, read about 3-4 months ago that there was a campaign in the Cameroon about the Goliath frog, because it's used for food and so forth. And supposedly the government was supposed to do something. I haven't heard anything else since about how that's progressing.
Yeah, I don't have specific updates, but Cedric Fogwan, I believe he's Voice of Nature.
I can
Own that.
contact him and ask him, because I was asking before for pictures and he was sending them to me, and I haven't heard from him in a while. So maybe I should just ask him for any updates he might have on it.
Okay. Yeah. And we also, there are various, I mean, fortunately, Cameroon, there is a big interest in the Goliath frog. So there are some other researchers. I know that Save the Frogs also, we had a Goliath frog specific grant maybe 2 years ago that went to Grain McCabe in the UK. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name correctly. And I haven't gotten any updates on if anything is still going on there with that project.
He's from the African Marine Mammal Conservation Organization.
Okay,
That's where
Grain. Oh, Cedric, yeah. Okay. I thought Voice of Nature too, but go check out Voice of Nature, Vonat. They have active Facebook for certain, and I know that they're posting regularly about Goliath frog. And I did mention the other day at our board meeting related to grants for 2025 that I want some specific, or we'll say there are going to be some prioritized grants of anyone can apply for anything, but we're going to say our priorities this year are things such as combating illegal traffic of amphibians, and specific to one specific to the Goliath frogs. So hopefully that'll get some interest. But yeah, Nancy, if you talk to Cedric, maybe you can give him that link for the speakers. And if he'd like to give a presentation about his efforts and
Where's the
everything
link
related
for
to
the
guide
speakers?
frogs.
Is where?
savethefrogs.com/speakers. I just chatted it
Okay.
in.
I got it.
All right. Yeah. So spread the word to anyone you know. I'll put this video up on the savethefrogs.com/Africa page. It'll also get announced, and I will assume from past experience that events that happen on a recurring basis that are regularly announced and for which there are videos going up will grow in attendance. I think that's all that I have to say. So let's see, Albert, if you're out there and you want to say hi, let me know. And thanks to Albert for getting me to get these meetings going a year ago, when he wrote me and said from his time at Save the Frogs Ghana, saying, hey, Kerry, let's get something going again.
Kerry, I have a small update.
Okay. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I completely forgot. You wanted to show some slides. Hey, we do have a speaker. Ed, what
Just
would you
2
like
minutes.
to yeah, I mean, we've got 13 minutes, so we're not in a hurry.
All
Let me
right.
give you share controls.
Cool. Yeah, so I don't know who here might have seen my last talk. I was one of the speakers last year and talked about my work in Gabon. I study canopy frogs and use a lot of arborist methods to climb the trees and access the canopy and find all the frogs from ground to canopy. So I'm actually going back to Gabon in August. And so yeah, I've made a presentation for my department, but anyway, I just thought I can talk about it today. These are actually some of the frogs from Gabon. So we have some really nice like Leptopellis species, which are these big tree frog types. This is a Hyperoleus, one that breeds in tree holes. And it's really cool. This is an Amnirana. And so last year, these are kind of like, oh, what am I going to do this time? I want to sample basically across the transition of the seasonal change. The driest month is in August, the wettest month is in November, and I'm going to sample across that whole period so I can actually see how the frogs move up and down the trees as the climate changes. And so, you know, with that kind of information on climate on a seasonal timescale, we can then apply that to, okay, what might happen in terms of climate change in the future. And so I was doing a trait analysis, which I can expand. And then what I wanted to just briefly mention is this audio moth thing. So I was just gonna, that was my main point. But yeah, Gabon's super nice, amazing country, full of forests. And this is where my site is. It's right in the south of Gabon, on the close to the border to Republic of Congo. And so previously I surveyed from October to November, and this time I'm going to be across that transition between the dry and the wet season. And so in terms of these audio moths, they're basically like these little microphone recorders that you put batteries in, and then it records audio whenever you want, and so you can set them up. And so my idea is to integrate a GPS device into each audio device, and thus when it's recording the files, these devices, you don't think about it, but when the file is being recorded, the file might not actually be recorded at the same time rate that you'd think. And so over the course of a day, you might actually get some drift by like 1 or 2 seconds. Anyway, so if you use a GPS, you can correct that to a microsecond. So it's always exactly precise. And then if you have a bunch of microphones, therefore, that are completely in sync, and a frog calls from in the middle of those microphones, you can time the arrival of those calls to the microphone and then use triangulation geometry to figure out where was it calling from. And so how that would sort of look is if I have a tree, I've got 3 microphones in a triangle in the canopy, 3 in the mid-story, 3 in the understory, and then a frog is calling. Okay, suddenly you've got like a timing of arrival at these 2 microphones, and then you get it to these microphones, and then you get it to these, and so on. And so with all of that data, you can record the exact location where a frog is calling from in 3D space. And you can do that across the entire time that your recording devices are going for. And so if I can do this from the dry season to wet season as well, then we can like, this would be the first time it's ever done round to canopy. And we can basically see those in real time changes in their reproductive mode and how they utilize different vertical habitats, you know, between different species, between the seasons, all this kind of thing. So I'm really excited about that. And then also I'm interested in doing a diet thing. So I'll be collecting poops and we'll be collecting specimens. So we'll be able to take stomach contents and then do meta barcoding. What are they eating across the different seasons, different species, different vertical habitats, all this kind of thing. So yeah, so this is one of those lovely leptopellis frogs that I'm looking forward to finding. Tons of different data that I'm going to take. Microbial, botanical, climatic, genetics, audio, diet, eDNA, morphology, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, and some of the local guys that are going to help me. Anyway, that's the main thing. Thanks very much. Yeah, it's really exciting. It's coming up in August, so I'm organizing everything now and lots of logistics to figure out.
All right, thank you. I do like the leptopellis frogs. There's one from Ghana called the night spirit frog. That was one of my favorites. Actually, there's a photo right here. Let me see if this is a photo I took. Let's will not chat it in here. Why not? See what happens. Copy image address. See if this opens right there. Yeah, there it is. Night spirit frog. All right, I'm curious. The audio moth software gives you the triangulation, and you know it'll make like a 3D map of where the animals are, or what?
There is a software called, I think it's called Frog 3D or something. So the audio moths themselves just record it, and then that all gets fed into this other software, which does have that triangulation stuff, and that has a bunch of different considerations. Obviously, you need to try and take into account for like, what if there are lots of frogs calling and the calls are overlapping, and so you need to do a bunch of statistics, and then you need to figure out what your sort of error rate is on sort of, oh, well, I thought it was over there, and then another one's coming from over there. But if you get lots and lots of repeat recordings, you can do clustering algorithm or clustering methods to go, okay, well, all of those dots, that's probably one individual. All of these dots are probably one individual. But yeah, it does actually make a 3D model on the computer where you can see blink, 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 blink. That's where the frog's calling from, etc. So if I can also get LiDAR or drone created 3D model of the actual site, then I could overlap that onto the model of the LiDAR, and that would be epic. So that's the hope. It's all pie in the sky, but it could work. I mean, there's no reason why it couldn't work.
And how long does the audio moth battery last? Like you set it up, how long is it going to record?
Not long enough. I have to, there's a big trade-off in terms of battery and the GPS. The GPS takes like 2/3 of the battery, which is really unfortunate. But if I want to do this localization, I have to use the GPS. Realistically, I think I can get about 3 hours a day, and it would get about 2 to 3 weeks. And I wish it was a lot more, but I think that I can still get, because I'm doing it's a lot of data over a lot of time. I think it should still be enough, and I'll probably do, you know, half an hour before sunset, just after sunset, and then, you know, another period in the night to try and catch a bunch of different parts of the night. but I haven't decided exactly what my recording periods would be.
How many frogs do you expect to find? Or do you already know how many are living in the canopy approximately?
Well, at that particular site in Gabon, there weren't a huge number that were like actually living in the top canopy. There was a few of these like really tiny nectophrinae toads, which are arboreal and they're treehole breeders. So I think like in the high canopy, probably somewhere between 5 and 10 species probably like occur up there. But basically any frog that can occur in the canopy can also occur in the understory because it's just so available to them. They can climb up and down, you know, do whatever. So in this particular site, there was loads and loads and loads of species that occurred between like 1 meter and 7 meters, say, in the understory, that bulk of the vegetation. That's where most of the Leptopellis, most of the Hyperoleus, that's where they were all inhabiting that kind of like big vegetation layer in the understory. Yeah. But there's about 60 species in that particular area, maybe more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And the trees, they can be quite high, right? So what
Yeah.
is the maximum height that you think you can put these audio recorders?
Yeah, I think some of the biggest trees there, the emergence might be like 40, 45, not regularly higher than that. But then the most of the forest, the layer is kind of like 25 to 30 meters as a standard forest height, a canopy height. And so I would really, really like to get them. I'd like to get them at basically 0 meters, 15 meters, and 10 and 30 meters to get the entire vertical gradient. But I'll just have to see because they're going to be so difficult to set up. And what I was going to do is basically fire a catapult because I do climbing, so I can fire a catapult to get a line over a branch that I want, and then I'll tie the audio moth onto that line, and then I can pull it up into the canopy like that. And then if I have another one halfway up, then that's on the same line, and then I put another one at the bottom on the same line, and so then I know they're on perfectly linear, and that will help me figure out the actual geographic locations of the audio moths because you need the coordinates to figure out the trigonometry basically. So yeah, it's going to be really difficult to set them up.
So does it mean you will just throw them up with the rope and you don't even have to climb to that locality or like 30 meters up? You won't climb that high?
Basically, I won't actually need to climb up to install these audio moths. What I'd do is I'd use a catapult with a lead weight attached to, say, a fishing line. That goes up. And then instead of firing with the audio moth, then now that I've got the fishing line up, then I could tie it on and then pull it up.
Okay.
Yes, I wouldn't have to climb up. I probably will because that's what my standard surveying is, to climb at night, 1 hour vertical transect. That's how I get all of my data. And yeah, so, but no, I wouldn't necessarily, not for the audio.
How many species did you say that the 60?
Yeah, we found, last time I was there for about 2 months and we got, I think, about 50 species and we were still finding new ones. And so I would expect that there's probably about 10 or maybe 15 more that we hadn't found yet, that were further into the forest and, you know, that we hadn't found. So yeah, it's really, really diverse, very, very
Do they
diverse.
climb, most of them?
For the majority, the highest, actually, I could just show you I have a perfect slide to show you. But the majority of frogs have some amount of terrestrial ability, arboreal ability. And the most richness is found basically between like 1 and 2 meters. So I'll just show you really quick.
And they probably have climbing pads on their hands.
Exactly. Yeah, so this is basically like the color coded for each species, and then on the Y we have the Y-axis is the height And so you can see the different colors represent where the different species live. And so at the ground level, we've got all these green species, which are the Arthroleptis. And these are like the classic ground frog, the leaf litter frogs that are direct developers in this case. And then swiftly, as you go up into the tree, so 0 to 1 meters, 2 meters, you've got all of these orange and blues, which are, like I was saying, the Hyperoleus and the Leptopellis, which then have big ranges that goes right up into the trees. So as soon as you're up in the trees, you have frogs that have much wider ranges. And then this is the abundance of frogs, which declines very, very quickly into the understory. And then there's really not that many as you go up. So it's, high densities in the understory.
Thank you.
I appreciate the questions. And yeah, sorry, Kerry, I've dragged you over the hour mark.
It's all right. All right, let's conclude that. Everyone, I put in the link, Save the Frogs shirts, and hey, I just realized it's there's my Save the Frogs Africa shirt. So go get yourself one. Mark in your calendar for next month, the final Saturday of the month. Every month it's taking place at 10 a.m. Los Angeles time. So thanks everyone for showing up. Spread the word. Let's get some more people out here or in here who have an interest in African amphibians. And thanks for helping save the frogs. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Kerry.
Ciao.